Hey, hi there. Hello, Vintage Clubbers. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Already seen in the comments, we've got people from far-flung corners, from Thailand to California, all stops in between. Thank you for joining. It's always a pleasure. It's always a privilege to be here to share my things with you. And things is what we're going to be doing today. Things called triads. If you haven't already been alerted to today's topic, it's looking at triads, specifically major triads. Now that could lead to all sorts of little gags and banter, I guess, major triads. We're looking at major triads on the three thinnest strings, the G, B and E strings. I sent out some prep material, Fanny sent out some prep material for you, and it contained a little description of what we're looking at, as well as some neck diagrams, chord diagrams, little grips, shapes on these three strings to form those triads. If anybody's played triads before, hopefully that's just familiar and it's a recap, a reminder of what's there. If you've never played them before, and I'm hoping we've got people here in the audience who have never played triads before, then you're going to have to just learn how to play some little three-string grips that might use 2 fingers, 3 fingers. Some of them only use 1 finger actually, and the fingering and all of the technical detail we'll look at as the time arises. This is a bit of a revisit to one of the very first vintage clubs I did, Vintage Club 6. In those days though, we were doing it on a different platform and the recording wasn't made public, so it isn't in the archive. And I did a survey a few months ago asking people about future vintage clubs, and a lot of people said they would like me to go back and redo some of the clubs from yesteryear. I mean, it is nearly coming up 2 years when we started. And so you've got a new presentation of it. Because either people missed them, they've joined in the meantime, or they weren't ready for them, they weren't at the level where they thought they could try and do what was being presented. So this one is for anybody and everybody really. If you're grade 1, you might be able to join in with most of what we're doing here, and it'll certainly give you a heads up for future learning. If you're above 1, then great, this is so for you. Triads doesn't come into Justin's course beyond grade 1. It's, if I'm right, I think the first nibble that he gives is towards the back end of grade 2. I need to check that because I haven't looked for a little while. Okay, let's get started. Let's get into this. But first, can you hear me? And can you hear my guitar? Is the sound all fine? Is it coming through? Just give me a little thumbs up or a yes over there in the comments. Hopefully it will be nice and clear. I can turn things up a little bit if needs be. I'll just wait for that because there's a small delay between me and you. Okay, I've seen several yeses and thumbs up. Let's continue. Right then, so I'm going to go share the screen with a presentation I've got, beginning to look at this. Most of what we're doing today though is you going to be sitting with the guitar in hand, joining in, doing things either with me or doing things after I've shown you, and I kind of sit back and I can relax while you take the strain. So if you don't have your guitar right now next to you in tune, please get it. Keep an ear out for the preliminary, little discussion here, but we're not playing for a few minutes, so you do have a moment to go and do that. Right, let's take a little look at the introduction to triads. Okay, here we go. So I'll read through these nice and briefly. You can obviously look at them yourself as well. Triads, we're looking at an introduction to them and some of their applications. There are many. Triads, we look at major and minor shapes on the three thinnest strings, but today is going to be major, with maybe a little sneaky peek or a brief mention of some of the minors. The minors are coming in the next session. We're looking at the order of the notes within those three note things called the triads, call those the intervals. We're going to be playing in the key of C. Of course, these are for any key, but I'm going to keep it simple for us, so we're just sticking to one key today. We're going to be playing them alone and with some backing tracks that I've made. I'm trying to avoid copyright and all of that, so I've made backing tracks that are kind of sound alike to some songs that you are probably familiar with. We're going to look at playing triads where you stay in one place. You'll see what that is when it comes along. And it's the opposite of playing triads where you've got to move around a lot, basically. If we have time, we'll talk about triads and the caged system. But that might be like an optional extra maybe at the end, as will be the repeating shape, this idea of the triads, because our guitar neck can be more than 20 frets in length. But the triad shapes that you're going to see span maybe 10 frets in total. Somehow or other they can repeat, they can reappear as you get higher along the fretboard. Okay, my head is in the way, isn't it? Look at that. Shall I make myself disappear for a second? Yeah, go on then. Triads are just three note chords. I want you to think of them as being tiny little chords, fragments of chords, or the fundamental essence of chords, the bare minimum for what a chord can be. There's all sorts of different sort of common ways of talking about them, but essentially they're three note chords. And those three notes being the root, the third and the fifth. Now the third, it needs a mention here. When we do look at minors, I'm going to be talking about that third being a minor third or a flattened third. And there are four types of triads: major, minor, diminished and augmented. We're only concentrating on major today. That's the 1-3-5 in terms of intervals. Minors, as I said, that's in the next session. That would be a 1-flat-3-5. Diminished triads, poor diminished. You'll have heard of diminished chords, and most people kind of dismiss them and say, oh, you don't need them. They are the poor neglected cousins of the majors and minors, but they exist. And so, of course, there exists a diminished triad, and it's a 1-flat-3-flat-5. So it shares something with the minor. It's got that minor third. There's an augmented triad, and it shares something with the major triad. It's got the major third, but its fifth is a sharpened fifth. It's an augmented, it's raised up. That's your four types. Okay, this is what I sent out. This is what was shared with people in advance. So I'm going to pause here, because I noticed in the comment that at least one person said they didn't receive it. Okay, these are going to be the grips that you'll learn over the next two Vintage Club sessions. On the left, we have got major triads, three shapes, and that's it. You need only learn three shapes because there are only three shapes. And on the right, minor triads. There are three shapes. You only need learn three shapes because that's all there are. There are three shapes. Oh, hang on, I'm just going to make there. That's probably better. Because we're looking at major triads, we're looking at the ones on the left today. If you don't know already, the red dot is the root note. So please note that the three diagrams on the left and on the right, the root note for each shape sits on a different string. It's never on the same string if you're changing the shape. The third and the fifth also move the strings. So the whole set of 3 notes, they kind of spin around on a wheel. I'm going to show you something to do with that in a second. Also note there are no fret numbers, so these are generic shapes. They will only become a particular triad with a given name, such as C major, when we say the grip happens at certain frets. You'll see that in a moment. Okay, if you did not get that sent out as preview material, take a moment now to either take a photo with your phone, screenshot it, quickly draw it down on a piece of paper. You're going to see it again, but it might also be useful for you to reference it if it isn't on screen but you want to look back at it. The 3 on the left, they're the 3 that you need to be looking at and just having a note of. A visual note in your mind or an actual visual diagram on paper or somewhere. Okay, I'll leave that up for another 5 seconds or so just so you can do that. And I'll read some comments while we're here. Oh, Fanny is in. Hi, Fanny. Thank you for joining in. And Fanny is already sharing useful stuff, links and all sorts of bits and pieces. Fantastic. Oh yeah, it looks like lots of people did not receive the document. But I know Fanny sent it out by email because I got one, because using one of my secondary email accounts, I'm kind of a subscriber to this club, and so it was sent to me on that email address. So if you've ever used the email address to join, you should have received that. Anyway, here it is. You've got it. Right. I mentioned that the notes, the intervals within the triads, they kind of spin around a little bit. So I want you to think of this as helping you understand that. We've got a root note, we've got a third, and we've got a fifth. That's it. And because we're thinking of major triads, I don't need to say flat third, it's just third. When the root note is on the lowest of the strings, so it would be the G string in today's session, when the root note is the lowest note, that is going to be called a root position triad. Let's go back and see. It's the top one, isn't it? The top diagram is a root position triad. The root note is the lowest note. And then it goes in order. If you follow the wheel again, the next note, which must be on the second string, the B string, would be the third. And then the next note, which is going to be the highest note here on the E string, would be the fifth. So that triad at the top there, in ascending order of pitch, root third fifth. Root third fifth. Okay. If the third is the lowest note, then the fifth would be the middle note and the root would be the highest note. And that is called a first inversion. This word inversion simply means the notes have been rearranged. So let's see. Well, there, the root is the highest note on the middle set of diagrams. So the third is the lowest and the fifth is the highest. That's first inversions on that middle row. If the fifth is the lowest note on the G string, then the next one would be the root, the middle, and then the highest one would be the third. That's at the top on the first string. So that's going to be called a second inversion. Let's just go back. That's the bottom row. Now you might recognize those two diagrams on the bottom row because they look awfully like a D major chord shape without the open fourth string and a D minor chord shape without the open fourth string. And you're right, they are. So they are second inversion triads. Right. So now that we've got that, let me just take myself away so you can see it bigger. There are the triads, given their major title and whether they are root or first or second inversion position triads. Okay, hopefully we're all good so far. We haven't played anything yet, so we're going to start playing something. Right, I want you to pick up your guitars. Pick up your guitar ready to play. On the top, we've got a neck diagram stretching all the way up to fret 14. And we're going to play a C major triad in 3 different ways. Look at the diagram for the top, look at the fret numbers, but I'm going to come off that and show you it myself playing my guitar here. So, C major in 3 different ways. We're not starting with the root position, we're starting with the one that's closer to the index finger. Is at fret 3 on the 1st string, and then I'm going to use my 3rd and 4th fingers because that's my preference or my choice most of the time, but not exclusively. They're going to be at fret 5 on the 2nd and 3rd strings. There's a C major triad, fret 3 and fret 5. Okay, some people like to go for that with 2nd and 3rd fingers. It's a little bit stretchy maybe, and there's a reason some people like to go for that is because they've still got this finger free to do little bits and embellishment perhaps. Whatever you feel comfortable with. If this is a new shape for you, just get used to the feel of that C major there. Okay, our next C major will be a very familiar shape to you because it's the first chord shape you learn. It's the shape that is that of a D chord, but remember we're not playing the 4th string at all. And you're not playing it here. We're actually going to shoot all the way up here. I've got my 2 fingers at fret 12, and that 3rd finger is at fret 13. If this is the first time you've played up this high, wow, you're at the dusty end. Okay? That is also C. Now, it's true that there is one lower down, because if you think about that, fret 12 is the same as the open strings, and fret 13 is the same as the 1st fret, but an octave lower. So I could do that with 2 open strings, and the one in the middle is fretted at 1. And yes, it is the top of a C chord. I'm not doing that one because what I want to look at today is groups where everything is fretted, so you get the idea that it's movable. So I'm ignoring those with open strings. So we're here. 12, 13, 12. Let's remind ourselves. Frets 3 and 5. Frets 12 and 13. Well, we missed one out. There's one in between those. And I missed it out for a reason. And that is because some people find this one perhaps the trickiest one to form with their fingers, because the best optimal grip is if you bar 2 strings, or even 3, you could go for all 3, with your first finger. A bit like a mini bar F chord if you've got that far and learned a mini bar F. We need that to be at fret 8. I'm going to bar just 2 strings. The 2 thinnest strings are under my index finger. Some people find that tricky. If you're finding it tricky, extend that bar to 3 strings. We're not playing it like that though. We've got another finger to put down yet. And that other finger, I'm going to suggest, is the 2nd finger, or middle finger, on the 3rd string, 1 fret higher. So that is all at fret 8 here, and this is at fret 9. There's a C major. If that's tricky, Some people say they can manage with the third finger reaching over the top there. And I know that it is an issue for some people that if they get their second finger in here, there's some muting of that middle string, the second string there, that becomes an issue. So if that works for you today, oh, hang on. Let's get it right. If third finger works for you, go with what works. I guess you could play with fingers 1 and 2 on those two thinnest strings and then climb over a bit like that. You know, find what works for you today. Long term, the best solution to this one would be an index finger mini bar. And again, the reason being is that it aids movement to other grips. You've got fingers free for embellishment and all sorts of other reasons. Okay, so let's go back to them. You've got your 3 grips for C. Oh, my head's in the way again. Let me move down. There we are. So C is at frets 3 and 5. C is at 12 and 13. And that last one we just learned is at 8 and 9. Now, I'm going to pick here. I'm just using 3 fingers to like pinch those notes. I could strum them with a pick. Okay, the good news is you've just learned all 3 shapes. That's it. We've only played one chord there, one triad, which was C. What we're going to now do though is learn the G chords, because if we're playing in the key of C, the major chords in the key of C in all keys would be the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord. So that's C, F and G. So if this is a C, hooray, that's the 1 chord. We need to know where there is a 4 chord and a 5 chord. And to begin with, let's just use this same grip. So I'm starting here. Remember fret 3, fret 5. Fret 5 is where the root note is on that one. Well, to find the 4 chord, the root note goes up 5 frets. It's kind of, yeah, the 4 chord is 5 up. So this is at fret 5, so we've got to take that up to fret 10. There is F, frets 8 and 10. And the 5 chord, this is an easy one, it's only 2 frets above the 4 chord. So frets 10 and 12. C, F, G. Right, I want you to take a moment, if you've never found these and played these before, just get used to them now, because we're going to be playing music with this in a second. C, the 1 chord, F, frets 8 and 10, the 4 chord, G, the 5 chord, frets 10 and 12. I'll show that to you again, back on there. So you're looking for, remember, the root position triad, the one that's kind of the stretched out shape. It's on the C major, it's the first one at the left, frets 3 and 5. For the F major, it's the last one on the right between frets 8 and 10. And for the G major, it's also at the right between frets 10 and 12. Okay, that's the one we're using. That's the one we're going with. while you get to grips with that, I'm just going to show you a chord progression that we're going to play it with. Okay, nice and simple chord progression. It's 2 bars on a C. There's 2 bars on a G. This is going to stay on screen, so you're going to be able to look at this the whole time. Another 2 bars on a C, and then it's going to be 2 bars on an F. Okay, so before anything else, I want you to play just that chord progression through, strumming without any tempo, no speed. C, think of that as beat 1, 2, 3, 4. You can count it, but we're not using a beat. And again, because that's 2 bars of that C, jump all the way up to fret 10 and 12, 2 of the Gs, back down for the C twice, and then you're going up to 8 and 10 for the F. Okay, but you're going to play over a backing track, a familiar-ish song. It should be familiar to you. And you can either strum them once per bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can strum them several times a bar, like you'd have been learning in the beginner course. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're strumming them, you need to be very careful not to be hitting the thicker strings, because they're not being fretted and you don't want them ringing out. You want a very small little wrist movement. If you can palm mute those thick strings while you do it, fantastic. Look for accuracy. An alternative to strumming is just to practice, if you've never done it before, little bits of arpeggiating the single strings on those triads in any way that feels right to you. You could play them as quarters, as eighths, or you could play a mixture of quarters and eighths in some sort of a rhythm. Okay, let's go to our track coming up, and this is it. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully you can hear it, or hopefully you can play along. Okay, so this is a kind of approximation of chasing after vehicles. That's C, and then G's coming up. 2, back to C again. Pause. Do you know what I've done? On the very first thing, I've messed up. Okay, I've written the chords the wrong way around. On that bottom row, please forgive me, that should be 2 Fs followed by 2 Cs, and somehow or other I've got it mixed up. So it's 2 Fs followed by 2 Cs. Okay, off we go again. Let's try. If we can do that. I'll call out the chord names. C, G, now it's the F, back to C, C again from the beginning, G, F, beginning, C, G, F, C. Okay, hopefully that was that was all right, given that I messed up, my big mess up. All right, let's try another song though, using those same root position triads. So here we go. I just need to go to here. Right then, you'll recognize this song if you didn't recognize that last one. This is a kind of version of something sung by somebody with bleached blonde hair. And the chord progression for most of it is a full bar of C, and then half a bar of F, half a bar of G. But there is a little bit of a refrain when it sings about being number one, when we get a full bar of F and then a full bar of G, if it does it once only, and then we get a full bar of F and two full bars of G when it does the number one repeat. So we've got C, F, G, C, F, G. This is the F to G bit number one. We'll go around one more time. I'm going to stop playing. I'm going to make myself disappear. But I'll tell you what the chords are if you lose track. F, G, C for the full bar. F to G, C, F to G, C, F to G. Keep going. Now F and two bars of G. Okay, I'm going to pause that one and then check the comments and just see how people are doing. Hey, I'm hoping that the lack of comments in the last few minutes means you've all been playing, which is terrific if you have. Brilliant. Okay, let's move on then. That was only grip, that root position grip. I think at the very beginning I said that it wasn't root position for some reason, but it is. That's root position grip. The next one we're going to look at then, well, let's see. What shall we go with? We are going to go with a different song. And we're going to go with first inversion. So these are very familiar to you. These ones look like the D chord grip. So hopefully this is nice and simple. I hope it's nice and simple because the chord progression might look pretty long. It's actually just a regular 12 bar chord progression if you're familiar with those. So we're going to have 4 on the C. Now remember that's at frets 12 and 13. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. 2 on the F. We've got to shoot all the way down to frets 5 and 6. 2 on that. Back up to the 12 and 13 for C, for 2. And then it gets a bit jumpy abouty. G is at 7 and 8. We do it for 1, back down to 5 and 6 for F, shoot all the way back up for C, and then back down to 7 and 8 for G. Okay, this one is going to challenge you a little bit. So if it's a bit quick and if it's a bit, you know, full of chords, just do a single strum on each. When I was playing, I was mixing it up, I was doing a bit of all sorts, but do what works for you for whatever ability and level you're at the moment. Right, let's go find the music for this one. Here we are. Oh boy, are you going to have fun on this? Four C's. F, C, G, F, C, G. Keep going. This is all C's. 2 F's. 2 C's. Quick changes. G, down to F, up to C, down to G. Keep going, it's the same thing. The hang of that, throw in some little arpeggiation or some additional strums. Okay, that's the end of that one. But it doesn't want to stop. It plays around, it does a little loop for itself. Okay, let's check comments. I want to make sure everybody's moving along and everything is nice and steady here. It seems it, yeah. Somebody's saying about the fingering of the chord. The fingering is really tight at the dusty end. Are you talking about the that one, or maybe that one? Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, they continue upwards, but practically it gets a little bit awkward and tight. In this section, down frets 10 to, that's 1 to 10-ish. That's where the bulk of your triad work will be. You occasionally go a little bit up, but not too often, and there isn't often a need for it. Okay, you've heard 3 tracks. They're all a little bit cheesy, I guess. I've put them into different keys. I've put them into the key of C, so I don't think any of them are in the original key. I've altered the tempos, moved them down to make them that little bit more accessible for you all. And hopefully I've avoided the copyright, but it does mean that they're a little bit cheesy and cheap and cheerful sounding, I suppose. But they're giving the flavour of what it's like to use these little triads as you're playing along with the song. I wonder, I'm curious, how many of you are just strumming because you're learning from new, and how many of you are arpeggiating because you've already got the left hand, or the fretting hand I should say, I suppose, sorted, and you're able to work a little bit on your picking hand. That would be curious to see what people maybe say about that. I'm going to go back to some of the songs, but using the shapes we didn't use previously on them. And what we're heading towards is a song with a longer chord progression, when you've got built up a greater familiarity of each of the 3 shapes for each of the 3 chords. So when you can think to yourself, C is there, C is there, C is there, F is there, F is where else? Well, it's there. There's one we haven't had. Heck, I've just realised we haven't done the other one. F is there. And G, where's G? G's there. G's there. G's there. We haven't done the second inversion ones yet with the barred index, so let's do that now. Okay, which song shall we go with? So let's go. I don't want to go back to Chasing Cars because I put the wrong chord progression in. Stupid me. So we're going to go with this one, second inversion, triad grips. For the tide is high-ish. And so your C grip. If you look at the diagram, that is showing fret 8 and 9. With that little mini bar thing, if you're going that way, you're going to be barring either 2 or 3 strings and just reaching over to the 3rd string with middle finger or ring finger. Whichever one works for you. Now, the F and the G major grips are further down towards the nut. The F grip is actually frets 1 and 2. And then the G grip is frets 3 and 4. So that's what we're going to be playing here. That's a C, F to G. The tide is high, but we're F to G. Okay, just get used to those grips. I'm sure for some of you who haven't ever done them, this might be a struggle. So keep working at it. Know that your struggle is real and that everybody has had it. Here we go with the song. C, F to G, C, F to G, C, F, G. More than enough to do what I'm doing, strum the chords once. Listen out for the number 1 when the chord sequence changes. Now, F to G. Now it's going back to the beginning. C, F and G. I'm going to stop playing so you can hear yourselves. Go back to F and hold it, then the G, and then it repeats F, 2 bars of G, back to your main sequence. The F and G bit, number 1. Okay, last time through. Okay, so I'm going to pause that. You've had a go at all three grip shapes, and what we've been doing is maintaining the same grip for the 1, 4 and 5 chords, C, F and G. And that's helping, hopefully helping your fingers gain familiarity with it. But it's a little bit inefficient. It's not terrific having to leap 5 frets to go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. And then if you get to the 5 chord, you've got to make a bigger leap, perhaps either up or down, to get back from the 5 chord to the 1 chord. So what we want to look at is trying to maintain our fingers in roughly the same place on the neck by utilizing all the grips, if needs be, if they are in close proximity to one another. So let's go back on our slide to where we had the entire set of, oh, gone too far, diagrams there. So if you look at this, if we play the root position C at frets 3 and 5, is there an F grip that's near to frets 3 and 5? Well, yeah, there is. There's actually maybe 2 choices. There's the one that's the flat mini bar index at fret 1 and 2, and there's the one that's like the D chord shape at frets 5 and 6. One is on a little bit higher side and one is on a little bit lower side than that C. So you've got a bit of a choice. But they're both close. Okay, if we're playing the C, the 1 chord at frets 3 and 5 in root position, is there a G nearby? Absolutely. There's one at frets 3 and 4, and that is the mini bar type grip. The other one is a little bit far away at fret 7 and 8, so we won't go with that one. So we have got C, F could be here, or F could be here, and G is definitely here. Now, the advantage of using that F is to go to G, you just need to move it up a couple of frets. That's a win, isn't it? So you might be going C, F, G, and there's less work for you to do. But you might like the sound of C, F, G. So you're playing each of the 3 shapes. It's all personal, it's what it sounds like and it's how it feels to you. There isn't a right or a wrong here. Let's go back to the tide is high, and we're going to use that definite C grip, that definite G grip, and one or other of those F grips. You choose whichever one you want. I'll put that diagram back up for a moment to remind yourselves which ones we're using. And I'll put the tide is high back on. I'm hoping you've got this chord progression now. It's C for a bar, half of F, half of G, except for when it says number 1, and then we've got F to G, which does repeat when number 1 repeats. Okay, here we go. Oh, right, that was the end, so it'll loop again. It's going to go from the very beginning. number 1. Only does it one time, first time through. One. Caught me out, sorry. Okay, I'm going to pause it because the next exciting installment is to now go for the middle position on the fretboard, where we're using the little mini bar for the C. That's at frets 8 and 9. And then for the F, once again, we could use the D shape at 5 and 6, or we could use the root position, that extended grip at fret 8 and 10. We're already at fret 8 and 9, so going to fret 8 and 10, that's pretty close. For the G, we're going to go for the D shape at fret 7 and 8. So I'll show that to you here. C, that's 8 and 9. F could be right there, virtually under the finger grip at fret 8 and 10, or F could be down there, with the one you've just been seeing and using. C, F, that could be our G. That D shape at fret 8 and 7, or if you like the sound of it, especially on that number 1 part where it's like going from F to G, you might want to go from F sliding up to G on that particular grip. Okay, so you've got 2 Fs to use, and you've got 2 Gs you might use. But we're only going with the 1 C. So we're ignoring this one that put the dusty end where people's fingers were getting cramped. Okay, let's put that on. C, F, G. This is F to G. I'm going to stop playing, not least because I just made 2 terrible mistakes because I wasn't concentrating. You carry on. F to G, remember. Go through it one more time, and this time if you feel confident, use any of the shapes for any of the chords anywhere. We'll let it play once more through when it loops. Okay, the singing's going to come in a moment. So if you're confident, go from grips up high to the grips down low, or the grips in the middle. Strum them, arpeggiate them. after the number 1 bit. Okay, right then, I hope you're having fun. Let's see if in the comments we've got anything that needs addressing. Oh, I'm sorry, Lucy, if you're saying this is out of your league. It looks simple, but it isn't. It will become simple the more you work at it. The actual grips themselves are the crucial thing. Getting the grips and moving them. And my advice to you is learn grip and know that you're going to have to slide it up and down a bit, but get that one grip learned and play with it. Okay, is anybody ready for a slightly more advanced challenge? We're coming up to time, but I do have something that's a bit more advanced. I know that from what Lucy is saying, this is probably going to be beyond her, but here we go. If I can find it. Right, this is the chord progression. Is my head in the way, or can you see that? My head is just at the top. Let's see if I go down the bottom. That's better. Okay, so we've got what looks like a really long chord progression for the intro and verses. However, rows 1, 2 and 4 are identical. 2 bars on C, then a G, and then a C again. The third row is simply 2 Fs and 2 Cs. So it looks big, but it isn't really in terms of anything awkward or different happening. It just goes on. The chorus has got the repeat dots around it because it's just that progression you see in front of you, F to C, G to C, F to C, G to C. It repeats. Okay, so bars 1 to 4, the top row are the same as the second row, are the same as the 4th row. So you can quickly learn it just by scanning it, really. It's only the 3rd row that's different in the verse and the intro. The chorus is itself, but it's just a repeating thing. Let's give it a listen. You should know this. It's something about being hanging around on this corner by some groups known as CCR or something. Listen to it first if you're not sure. That's the G, back to C. C, C, G, back to C. Here come the 2 Fs. Back to 2 Cs. 2 Cs, G, and then to a C. Here's the verse. Any C that you like, any G that you like, any F that you like. Here come the Fs. G, F, C, G, C, F, C, G, G, C, C, G, C, 2 Fs, 2 Cs, 2 Cs, G, back to the chorus. Okay, if it's going quick, I'm going to ease back on what I'm doing to just strumming. Okay, that was a challenge. I'm going to put it on again. Hopefully you're going to get the hang of it. pause that. That's the session pretty much done. Let me get back to here. If, like me, you made a few mistakes along the way, that's fine. You know, if you made lots of mistakes, then that's fine too, because I'm sure for some of you this is new. You're learning a whole new way of approaching the guitar, this thing called the Triads. There's new little grips. Now, most of them aren't complex grips, but if they're new, they're going to feel complex. Your fingers aren't used to it. You've got to get used to looking in different places because, again, for beginners, your concentration has been down at frets 1 to 3. Suddenly you're looking at fret 10 and, you know, that's new. So please do not underestimate, for people beginning, learning how to do this, how to play with these, that there's all sorts of new skill and technique and material. Conceptually, there's something new that's going on. But with a little bit of work, with a little bit of stickability on it, hopefully it can make sense and hopefully it can come good for you quite quickly. This was just majors. Next session, I'm doing the minors. So just a quick recap. In the key of C, we would have 6 main chords plus diminished. We would have C, F and G major, D, E and A minor. So think of D minor, E minor, A minor. You know those as open position chord shapes. It's not a coincidence really that they're kind of the ones you learn. We're going to look at minor shaped triads. But we're not going to do songs that only have minors in them. We're going to learn the grips and then blend them with some of the majors that this session has covered. Okay, right, let's see if there's anything in there that I can address. Any questions? Tommy is saying, yeah, it needs practice. Well, yes, Tommy, you're absolutely right. It needs practice. It needs, you know, the resources that you'll be getting on the back of this that I'll be sharing have got all of the info. I'll share the backing tracks, even though they're not the greatest things in the world. And just keep going at it, go slowly, rewatch a video or even just snippets of the recording when it comes out if it helps. Okay. Lot of encouragement coming towards Lucy. I'm guessing from the comments heading your way, Lucy, that you were saying you were struggling, and I understand that. Thanks for attending and giving it a go, and I hope that the encouragement that, say, I can see Lisa is putting some comment in there, the one I'm reading at the minute, is giving you at least the idea that it's not beyond you, it's just something that you haven't been able to do tonight or today. You can't do it yet, but you will be able to do it soon. Okay, any questions? I've got some thank yous. Well, thank you for the thank yous. People are saying they're looking forward to the next one. Okay, this is from... Oh, okay, this is from Adrian, who I know from in the JustinGuitar community. Why is the G root triad on first string not used in A major? Be second fret on 3 and 2 and 5 on 1. Oh, heck, it keeps flying around that question. I'm going to have to try and star that question, Adrian, and bring it on screen because it keeps flying around. 1 second. Right, there's the question. Why is the G root triad? So I'm presuming you're talking about the G major triad with the root note as the lowest. So that would be here. I presume you're talking about that one, because that's got a G as the lowest note, it's in root position. Why is that not used e.g. in A major, it would be on the 2nd fret on 3 and 2, and 5th fret on 1. I think I get what you're saying. You're saying if it was an A major triad, so let me just take this up a sec. So from G, from a G chord to an A chord, from a G note to an A note, it's 2 semitones, 2 frets. So climb this up. This is now an A. And these 2 fingers are at the 14th fret on strings 3 and 2. So Adrian, though, is thinking of the octave down, which is from where we get the A chord as well. So those 2 notes at fret 2, and that is the note A. So this would be like a root position. But he's saying, why don't we play that note on fret 5 like that, which is like a bit stretchy outy, so I'm going to bar those 2 notes so I can reach fret 5. Well, that is an A-ish, but it isn't an A triad in the strictest sense, because we've got A, the root, C sharp, the 3rd, that's another A. We've got 2 roots, we've got the 3rd, we don't have a 5th. To play a triad from there, it's actually the open string. Do you remember earlier, Adrian, I said I'm not going to do any grips that have got open strings because I want you to see how it's an entire self-contained shape that is movable. Open strings kind of hide that a little bit, but here you can see that 14 is equal to 2 in terms of an octave above the notes. 12 is equal to open. I hope that answers it, and I hope I've understood your question correctly. Right, let's go back to your regular comments, just to see if there's any more questions. Thanks for putting the question mark on that. It made it stand out as a question. It was helpful, because I am squinting here. I should put my glasses on. I'm so bad at putting my reading glasses on. Oh, there's a cage. I didn't talk about cage at all. My apologies. Yeah, I didn't get time. We covered so much else and spent time on other things. Caged isn't the fundamental thing you need to know to begin with. It's in there, of course. Caged is a wonderful concept, but you don't need to know it today. I think that's it. I think people are commenting and helping each other, which is just absolutely fantastic. I love it that people comment and then others offer encouragement or answer their own questions to it. So I don't think you need me for anything else beyond that. It's just for me now to say thanks for attending. Honestly, I really appreciate it. There'd be no point me doing this without you. I'd just be sitting here talking to myself, and that wouldn't serve anybody any good, I suppose, would it? If you've got any follow-ups, please go to the community. There is also the WhatsApp chat group, but the community tends to have more frequent visiting. That wasn't a very... more people visiting. It has more frequent visits. I'm going to be sending out a link where you can access resources, a slideshow, the backing tracks and all of the rest of it. That will be downloadable, just obviously for free. Can I remind you about Justin's Practical Music Theory course, if you haven't already, because he covers triads through some of that as well. So what I'm doing here, I guess, is a kind of a complement and an addition to his theory course, so that's a wonderful thing. And you can access it and begin to look at it for free. Those first 2-3 modules available for anybody to look at to see if it's for you. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye and leave you there for the time being. I will see you in time with minor triads. Have fun in the meantime, and I'll see you then. Cheers now. Bye-bye.